Get ready for 16 unbelievable facts about Australia that sound fake, but aren't. From egg-laying mammals to cities that pause for a horse race, and even a fence longer than the Great Wall of China, this place is unreal. But here's the thing. Everything you'll see in this video is backed by real data, not social media myths. This is a true travel documentary. No fluff, no fables, just facts. So buckle up and let's explore the real side of the land down under. This video may not include endless original footage from Australia, as high-quality visual material can sometimes be limited. However, I've done my absolute best to create an engaging and informative experience using the resources available. I truly appreciate your understanding and support as I continue to bring you real, fact-based content from around the world. Fact 1. The oldest living culture on Earth. Long before the British ever set foot in Australia, the continent was already home to the world's most ancient continuous civilization. Aboriginal Australians have lived here for at least 65,000 years. That makes their culture older than the Egyptian pyramids, Stonehenge, or the Chinese dynasties. Unlike many ancient civilizations that faded into history, Aboriginal Australians are still very much present today. Their traditions, songs, and Dreamtime stories have been passed down orally for thousands of generations. These aren't just myths. They are complex narratives tied deeply to the land, its animals, and spiritual beliefs. From rock art in Kakadu to sacred sites like Uluru, their influence remains visible. Despite centuries of colonial hardship, forced assimilation, and loss of land, Aboriginal communities continue to fight for their rights and preserve their heritage. Today, they make up about 3% of Australia's population. That might sound small, but their cultural significance is enormous. Understanding Australia without them is impossible. Their story is not just part of history, it's still unfolding. And it began tens of thousands of years before Australia was even called Australia. Fact 2. A nation built on migration. Australia is often called the land of second chances, and for good reason. Almost half of the entire population today has at least one parent born overseas. That's not just a statistic. It's a mirror of a society built by waves of migration. Since World War II, millions have arrived from Europe, Asia, the Middle East, and Africa, each group bringing their own traditions, languages, and cuisines. In fact, as of the last census, more than 1 in 4 Australians were born in a different country. That includes large communities of Italians, Greeks, Chinese, Vietnamese, Indians, and now even Sudanese and Nepalese migrants. Walk through a suburb of Melbourne or Sydney and you might hear more than 10 languages in a single afternoon. Over 300 different languages are spoken at home across the country. This multiculturalism is not just visible in food and festivals, it's enshrined in policies and protected by law. While tensions do sometimes flare, overall Australia has managed a delicate balance between integration and diversity. The country's 2 biggest cities, Sydney and Melbourne, are regularly ranked among the most multicultural cities on Earth. And that's exactly what gives Australia its distinctive modern flavor. It's not just one story, but thousands blended into one. Fact 3. The country where voting is not optional. In Australia, voting isn't just a right, it's the law. Since the year 1924, all eligible citizens have been legally required to vote in federal elections. If you don't, and you can't offer a valid excuse, you'll be hit with a fine of 20 Australian dollars, which is about 13 US dollars. It might not sound like much, but the result is stunning. Voter turnout in Australia consistently stays above 90%. In contrast, countries like the United States struggle to reach 60%. This system was introduced because, in the early 20th century, voter apathy was high and democracy was starting to weaken. The law changed everything almost overnight. In the very next election after compulsory voting began, turnout surged by over 30%. There's even an official government body, the Australian Electoral Commission, that mails out reminders and enforces fines. Elections are always held on Saturdays, and the tradition of democracy sausages, grilled sausage sandwiches sold outside polling places, makes voting feel almost like a national picnic. It's civic duty with a dash of Aussie charm. The idea is simple. If democracy matters, everyone should show up. And in Australia, they do, by law and by habit. Fact 4. The Prime Minister who disappeared into the sea. One of Australia's most baffling political mysteries involves a leader who simply vanished. In December of 1967, Prime Minister Harold Holt went for a swim at Cheviot Beach near Melbourne and never came back. He was last seen entering rough waters with no bodyguards and no security detail. Within hours, panic set in. A massive search and rescue operation began, involving hundreds of people, aircraft, Navy divers, and volunteers. But no trace of Holt was ever found. Not a body, not a piece of clothing, not a single clue. Officially, he was presumed drowned. But the mystery launched 1,000 conspiracy theories. Some said he was taken by a Chinese submarine. Others claimed he faked his death to flee the country. The truth? Most likely he was swept away by strong currents. Yet the story doesn't end there. In classic Aussie fashion, the country later named a public swimming pool after him. The Harold Holt Memorial Swimming Centre. Yes, a swimming pool. To this day, it stands as one of the most ironic tributes in Australian history. A missing prime minister, a beach with a reputation for deadly surf, and a nation that never lets go of a good story. Fact 5. The Great Emu War and Australia Lost. In 1932, Australia declared war on birds. Yes, actual birds. After World War I, soldiers turned to farming the Western Australian wheat belt. But they weren't alone. Tens of thousands of wild emus migrated to the area in search of water and food, trampling crops and fences. Desperate farmers begged the government for help, and what followed became one of the strangest military operations in history. The army sent soldiers armed with Lewis machine guns to wipe out the birds. But the emus were fast, scattered, and oddly tactical. In 3 major attempts, only about 1,000 emus were killed, out of an estimated 20,000. The soldiers jammed their guns, wasted ammo, and even mounted a machine gun on a truck, which promptly broke down. Parliament was embarrassed, the press mocked the effort, and the birds marched on undeterred. By December, the operation was quietly called off. The Great Emu War is now folklore. Australians today tell it with a grin, because not only did the emus win, but they also earned a spot in national legend. And yes, farmers eventually had to build fences and accept that nature doesn't always lose. Fact 6. The dingo fence that cuts a continent. Imagine a fence so long it could stretch from New York to London and back. That's the dingo fence, also called the dog fence, and it slices through the Australian outback like a scar across the land. Built in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the fence was designed to keep dingoes, Australia's native wild dogs, out of the fertile southeastern sheep farming regions. It worked, mostly. Stretching over 3,500 miles, it's one of the longest structures on Earth. That's longer than the Great Wall of China. It starts in eastern Queensland and runs through New South Wales into South Australia, crossing deserts, plains, and nothingness. Today, it's maintained by a small team of patrol workers who check for breaks, often using small planes or four-wheel drives. The fence doesn't just stop dingoes, it has created an ecological divide. On one side, more kangaroos. On the other, more native predators. In fact, this massive man-made barrier is visible from space due to the change in vegetation and wildlife density. It's a brutal reminder that humans have gone to extreme lengths to shape the land, even if it means fencing off a third of a continent. Fact 7. The world's longest golf course is in the middle of nowhere. Only in Australia could someone say, let's make golf take an entire road trip, and actually build it. The result? The Nullarbor Links, an 18-hole golf course that stretches across the vast empty heart of the continent. This beast of a course runs 1,135 miles from Kalgoorlie in Western Australia to Sedunia in South Australia. That's longer than driving from Los Angeles to Denver. Each hole is located in a different town, roadhouse, or rest stop along the air highway. Players drive for hours between holes, dodging kangaroos and emus while battling heat, dust, and isolation. Some holes are on actual greens, while others are little more than rough patches in the desert. It takes several days to complete the course, and finishing it earns travelers a certificate, and usually a deep tan. Created to boost tourism and break up the boredom of one of the world's loneliest highways, the Nullarbor Links is more than just a gimmick. It's a full-blown Aussie adventure, mixing sport with survival. No other country would call this a golf course. But Australia? They turned a dead straight desert highway into a golfing pilgrimage. Fact 8. The horse race that halts an entire country. Every year, on the first Tuesday of November, something unusual happens in Australia. The whole country seems to stop for just a few minutes. Why? Because of a horse race. The Melbourne Cup isn't just any race. It's a national obsession. First run in the year 1861, this 2-mile race held at Flemington Racecourse in Melbourne has become a cultural event so big that it's often called the race that stops a nation. In the state of Victoria, it's even a public holiday. Offices pause, schools host sweepstakes, and people across the country gather around televisions, dressed to the nines or simply cheering from the couch. The prize pool today exceeds 8 million Australian dollars, over 5 million US dollars. But it's not just about the money. It's about the pageantry, the fashion, the champagne breakfasts, and the bizarre national unity around a few minutes of galloping hooves. Even American writer Mark Twain, after visiting Australia in the 1890s, was stunned by how deeply the race captured public imagination. The Melbourne Cup is a snapshot of Aussie spirit, laid back, a bit wild and proudly over the top. And yes, sometimes the horse wins more headlines than the Prime Minister. Fact 9. A living wonder you can see from space. Stretching over 1,429 miles along Australia's northeastern coast lies the Great Barrier Reef, the largest living structure on the planet. Yes, living. This massive coral system is composed of over 2,900 individual reefs and 900 islands. It's so big that astronauts have reported seeing it from space. Located in the Coral Sea off the coast of Queensland, the reef is home to more than 1,500 fish species, 6 species of sea turtles, dolphins, sharks, and even giant clams that can live for over a century. It's a snorkeling and diving paradise, drawing over 2 million visitors every year. Economically, it brings in more than 6 billion Australian dollars annually, about 4 billion US dollars. But beyond tourism, it holds enormous ecological and spiritual significance. For local Aboriginal groups, it is a sacred and ancestral sea country. Sadly, the reef is under severe threat from climate change, with coral bleaching events now occurring at alarming frequency. Scientists and environmentalists are racing to protect it. Still, for now, it remains one of Earth's most awe-inspiring sights, a shimmering underwater galaxy that literally glows with life. Fact 10. Uluru, Australia's giant heartbeat of stone. In the middle of the vast, sun-scorched outback, something ancient rises from the earth like a sleeping giant. Uluru, also known as Ayers Rock. Standing over 1,100 feet tall and more than 5.5 miles around its base, it's one of the largest monoliths in the world. But Uluru isn't just a rock, it's a sacred site. For the Anangu people, its traditional custodians, Uluru is alive. Every cave, crevice, and ripple in the rock tells a story from the Chukurpa, the Aboriginal Dreamtime. These stories explain the creation of the world and are still passed down today. During sunrise and sunset, Uluru glows in fiery shades of orange and red, a sight so powerful it leaves travelers speechless. Tourists once climbed the rock, but out of deep respect for Anangu culture, that practice was officially banned in 2019. Visitors can still walk around its base, visit interpretive centers, and even hear traditional songs and dances that honor the land. Uluru is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and a symbol of the spiritual depth embedded in the heart of Australia. It's not just something to see, it's something to feel. Fact 11. The platypus, nature's Frankenstein. When British scientists first received a preserved platypus specimen in the late 18th century, they thought it was a joke. A furry mammal with a duck bill, beaver tail, and webbed feet? Surely someone had stitched together parts of different animals as a prank. But the platypus is very real, and only found in eastern Australia and Tasmania. It's one of just 5 monotremes or egg-laying mammals on Earth. It lays eggs like a reptile, produces milk like a mammal, and the males have venomous spurs on their hind legs, strong enough to incapacitate a dog. Despite its oddball design, it's perfectly adapted to its semi-aquatic lifestyle. Platypuses hunt underwater using electroreception, detecting the electric signals of prey, which is a rare ability among mammals. These shy creatures live in burrows along freshwater rivers and streams, and spotting one in the wild is considered a special moment for Australians. But don't let the cute face fool you, it's a wild survivor. Today, platypuses are protected by law, but habitat loss and water pollution threaten their future. This bizarre little animal remains one of the best reminders that in Australia, nature writes its own rules and sometimes even rewrites the biology books. Fact 12. Vegemite, the salty spread that divides a nation. If you want to truly test someone's Australian spirit, hand them a slice of toast smeared with Vegemite. This thick, dark brown paste made from leftover brewers' yeast extract is as Aussie as it gets. Invented in 1923, it was Australia's answer to Britain's Marmite after World War I disrupted imports. Vegemite is salty, slightly bitter, and packs a serious umami punch. Most non-Aussies gag on their first try. But for locals, it's childhood comfort food. It's spread thin on toast with butter, often eaten with cheese or avocado. Here's the twist. In Victoria, prisons banned Vegemite because inmates were using its yeast content to make alcohol. And years ago, a false rumor spread in the United States claiming Vegemite was outlawed because it contained too much folate, causing a minor international panic. Not true, by the way. Vegemite is legal in the US, just not widely loved. Despite the love it or hate it reputation, Vegemite remains a national icon. It even appeared in wartime rations and was endorsed by nutritionists for its high vitamin B content. For Australians overseas, a jar of Vegemite is more than food. It's a homesickness cure in a tub. Fact 13. Aussie inventions that changed the world. Australia isn't just about beaches and wildlife. It's also a quiet powerhouse of innovation. Some of the world's most important inventions were born down under. Take Wi-Fi, for example. The foundational tech that makes wireless internet possible was developed in the 1990s by scientists at Australia's National Research Agency, CSIRO. That alone deserves applause, but there's more. The black box flight recorder, used on every commercial aircraft worldwide, was invented in the 1950s by Dr. David Warren, after his own father died in a mysterious plane crash. Then there's the cochlear implant, a medical device that restores hearing to the profoundly deaf, also designed in Australia. Oh, and let's not forget polymer banknotes, those sleek, tear-proof plastic bills used by more than 40 countries today. Invented by Aussie scientists and first rolled out in the 1980s, they've made counterfeiting much harder. Even the ultrasound scanner and Google Maps have Aussie fingerprints on them. All this from a country with a relatively small population. It proves that creativity isn't limited to size. From the outback to the lab, Australians have been quietly shaping the modern world, one clever invention at a time. Fact 14. Living underground in the town of Coober Pedy. In the heart of South Australia's blazing outback sits a town that lives like no other, Coober Pedy, where residents literally go underground to survive. Temperatures in this region regularly soar above 110 degrees Fahrenheit during the day, and in the past, homes above ground were nearly uninhabitable. So the locals got creative. They began carving out dugouts, underground homes built into hillsides or former opal mines. These subterranean dwellings stay naturally cool year-round, averaging around 72 degrees Fahrenheit inside without air conditioning. Today, about half the town's population lives beneath the surface, including underground churches, hotels, art galleries, and even a bar. Coober Pedy isn't just quirky, it's the opal capital of the world, producing about 70% of global supply. Some people still mine for opals by day and sleep below ground by night. The town looks like a lunar landscape with mounds of earth and mine shafts scattered across the dusty horizon. Visiting Coober Pedy feels like stepping into a sci-fi film, but the lifestyle is very real. In a country full of heat, dust, and wild solutions, Coober Pedy takes the prize for Australia's most unconventional and coolest community. Fact 15. Australia has over 10,000 beaches. Seriously. If you visited a new Australian beach every single day, it would take you nearly 30 years to see them all. That's because this sun-soaked country boasts over 10,000 distinct beaches along a coastline stretching more than 31,000 miles. From the turquoise shallows of Whitehaven Beach in Queensland to the surfer-friendly waves at Bondi, from hidden coves in Western Australia to windswept shores in Tasmania, there's a beach for every mood, season, and soul. The best part? Many of them are empty. Due to Australia's low population density, especially in remote regions, it's not unusual to find yourself completely alone on a world-class stretch of sand. Australians have built an entire lifestyle around their beaches. Swimming, surfing, barbecuing, and playing cricket in the sand are national pastimes. Most major cities like Sydney and Perth were designed with beach access in mind. And beach culture isn't just for fun. It's a big part of the economy too, drawing millions of tourists and generating billions of Australian dollars each year. But for locals, the beach is more than a destination. It's a sanctuary, a playground, and a symbol of freedom. And with over 10,000 of them, there's always another just around the corner. Living in Australia costs jobs and settling down. Australia offers high living standards, stunning landscapes, and strong infrastructure, but it doesn't come cheap. In major cities like Sydney, Melbourne, or Brisbane, monthly rent for a one-bedroom apartment in the city centre ranges from $2,000 to $3,000 Australian dollars, around $1,300 to $2,000 US dollars. Outside the city core, prices drop to around 1,600 AUD or 1,050 USD. Utilities average about 200 AUD per month, 130 USD. And internet will cost you another 80 to 100 AUD, 55 to 65 USD. Groceries are decent in price, but not cheap. A gallon of milk costs around 6 AUD, a loaf of bread about 4 AUD, and a dozen eggs around 5 AUD. Dining out is costly. A simple meal in a mid-range restaurant often starts at 30 AUD, 20 USD per person. Gasoline is currently priced at approximately $1.80 AUD per liter, which equals around $6.50 USD per gallon. For residency, Australia offers multiple visa pathways. The most common is the Skilled Independent Visa, subclass 189, for high-demand professions: engineers, healthcare workers, IT specialists, and tradespeople. Another popular option is the Temporary Skill Shortage Visa, subclass 482, which allows you to work for an approved employer for up to 4 years. After a few years, you may apply for permanent residency. Job opportunities are strong, especially in healthcare, construction, mining, education, and finance. Minimum wage is one of the highest in the world, over 23 AUD per hour, or about 15 USD. However, competition is steep, and having local qualifications or fluent English can make all the difference. Many expats start with regional work, which also helps in securing longer-term visas. In short, Australia is not cheap, but it delivers quality. A comfortable monthly budget for a single person sits around 4,000 AUD, 2,600 USD, especially in bigger cities. But with smart planning and the right visa, it's absolutely possible to live well in the land down under. Thank you for watching this video and joining us on another journey through Australia's incredible insights. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and share your thoughts or questions in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to Andy Explores the World for more surprising facts and travel adventures. Your support truly helps us continue exploring new horizons and bringing you genuine stories from around the globe. Stay tuned for our next video and have a fantastic day exploring the world.